Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure, is sponsored by us. What? We sponsor ourselves? Is that even legal? Check us out on Amazon. You can have access to the titles of Pedagogue, the youth ministry book by Lonnie Jones, Cognitive Spiritual Development, a Christ-centered approach to spiritual self-esteem, Grappling with Life, Controlling Your Inside Space, a small essay using the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to talk about psychological and emotional self-defense, If I Were a Mouse, a children's book written and illustrated by Lonnie Jones, and then The Selfish Rill, a very short story about a decision. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel to see archived lessons and presentations from across the country, some videos with rope tricks and knots. Don't forget to visit the Facebook page 550 Guys to learn about the little rope men that we make and that we invented and that we make. And then be sure to click like, subscribe, and share. This is Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Faulkner University announces a 60% tuition discount for members of the Church of Christ. Now, there are some guidelines. This 60% tuition reduction is applicable to adult undergraduate Bible degrees or graduate Bible degrees from the Curley Graduate School of Theology in the VP Black College of Biblical Studies. You must satisfy all admission requirements and maintain satisfactory academic progress. You must remain continuously enrolled, including summers, until the completion of the degree. You must provide a letter from an elder or minister, preferably on church letterhead, verifying that you're an active member of a Church of Christ congregation prior to your initial enrollment. This offer applies to adult undergraduate degrees such as biblical studies, youth and family ministry tracks, and it also includes graduate degrees. And those are the Master of Arts in Biblical Studies, the Master of Arts in Family Life Ministry, or a Master of Theology, and it also applies to the PhD in Biblical Studies. For undergraduate inquiries, please contact Adult Enrollment, 334-386-7140, 334-386-7140, or Adult Enrollment at Faulkner.edu. That is Adult Enrollment at Faulkner.edu. For graduate inquiries, please call 334-386-7539, 334-386-7539. Graduate enrollment at Faulkner.edu. That is graduate enrollment at Faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. There is a fine line between compassion and pity. Yet the young lady behind the returns counter at Lowe's had a mixture of both. We were both looking blankly at the minuscule piece of what I can only assume was some type of ceramic tile. Now, this little piece of ceramic tile was smaller than a straw, and it was apparently designed to replace grout, but it had to be returned. It wasn't going to work replacing the grout we had to replace in this minuscule little section of whatever it was we were going to put it on. I don't know why it had to be returned. Maybe it was because it was eggshell white rather than white eggshell. And it wasn't the only thing I was returning, but it was the first item in a bag containing an assortment of things more diverse than a dissociative person's Christmas stocking. What is this, and why are you returning it? She asked. I don't know, I said. This is all stuff from my wife. All I heard her say was Chick-fil-A, and I ran to the minivan like a Spanish water dog when they hear the word treat. You see, it was a rare Saturday where we were both at home and I had nothing to do. But Jackie had things to do, which means I had things to do. And I was desperately looking for an escape. I was hoping we'd get a SWAT call out. I was hoping someone would call in crisis. And then all of a sudden she mentions Jesus chicken, and my conditioned response took over. And I found myself in the minivan, and then I found myself at Lowe's at the return counter, about to have to look for my wife and help her shop for tile samples. After I got finished with the returns, and that's very similar to doing your tax returns, the first thing they ask you is, do you have the card that you used? Well, I didn't buy it. It's not my card. Do you have a rewards card, frequent flyer, secret handshake, decoder ring, cult membership number? This is my wife's account, not mine. I don't have any of those extra numbers. I don't have any of those reward cards. I'll pay the 0.03% extra just not to have another card, not to have to answer another question, and just pay for my stuff and walk out. Well, since you don't have that information, sir, we'll need your third grade teacher to vouch for you, and can we get a blood sample? I finally got through at the returns counter, and I began clearing lows. Yes, I used the word clearing lows. You can't just walk through the store and expect to find your spouse. You have to methodically and linearly sweep the store like a one-man SWAT team to find her. And they put the stuff that women look at in a special section with the cloaking devices. I was on the verge of calling Keith Wooden of Aerial Game Recovery and Analysis to see if he'd come over and fly his drone through Lowe's and try to find my wife, when one of the employees noticed the despondency in my face and said, "Sir, do you need any help?" "Where's the rat poison?" I asked. "Sir, are you killing rats or mice?" he inquired. I'm not killing anything. I just want enough to get sick and call an ambulance so I can go home. I just need a reason to leave. Maybe a small sip of Roundup, I said to myself under my breath. The nice gentleman led me to my wife. I was in there several years ago on another one of these projects, and we were clearing out the area behind the fence. Now, the area behind the fence is not on our property. And the area behind the fence is not on our neighbor's property. It's actually the area between the fences. And so we decided it was going to have to be cleaned out so we could put a swing that we've never sat in under the pine trees. And I was dispatched to get a new chainsaw chain. As I walked through the store looking at chainsaw chains and trying to find the one that would fit my chainsaw, the 12-year-old that was helping me asked some question about teeth, sprockets, and bar length. To which I responded, "Look, I don't really need a super sharp blade. I don't want to lose a limb, just maybe get 18 stitches so I can stop, go inside, and watch the ball games the rest of the day." He asked, was anyone with me at the store that he could possibly speak with. I was at breakfast the other day with Cooper Houghton. Cooper's a young police officer, and we'd just been at church the night before, and he heard me present the first installment in a series of lessons I'm doing called "The Church Talks About Mental Health" with a question mark. He and I do GST on Tuesdays, and then on Thursday mornings we eat breakfast and we do a Bible study. And as we got up to leave, right across the aisle from us in another booth was a distinguished-looking man, and he introduced himself, and based on his greeting, he said, "Shalom." And by his title that he used and his affiliation, I can only describe him as a charismatic Pentecostal person of Jewish faith. He took my hand. He gazed intently into my eyes and sternly but sincerely warned me. He said, "God has told me to tell you that you will encounter 2 warlocks today. And be very careful who you shake hands with. Be very careful with your hands." I was very grateful to this man. I asked him to pray for me, and Cooper and I left. The next day, I was at home, and surprise of surprises, we got another box of stuff from Amazon. It's like they know where we live. Did I mention that we're redoing stuff at the house? Justin Hughes of Hughes Renovation is redoing 2 bathrooms and our pantry. But in addition to all the stuff that Justin and his crew are doing, we are saving money and doing some of the work ourselves. So if you speak Jackinese, you realize that means she's saving on her construction budget and I'm doing it. In all fairness, now she's doing the painting and she's doing a great job. But I'm doing the other stuff. I'm replacing all the doorknobs. I'm replacing all the door hinges. I'm replacing all the quarter rounds. Well, this new box that arrived at our house, surprise of surprise, is the new keypads that will replace all of our deadbolts and eliminate the need for Jackie to keep up with her keys. I keep up with my keys. I don't need new keypad entry thingies, but she's going to do that, and that way we won't have to have any keys on any of our doors. That means we're replacing it on all of our doors. So today's little gift from Amazon was for the 2 doors that lead to the back deck, the one that exits the kitchen and the one that exits our bathroom. I really didn't have anything I wanted to do this particular Friday, but there were some things I didn't want to do, and replacing deadbolts with keypad thingies was pretty high on the list. Well, I gathered my tools. I found my glasses. I opened the 2 new identical boxes and began sorting springs and screws and strike plates. And then it hit me and I shouted, "Door locks!" It was door locks. Door locks, not warlocks. Jackie, I've been warned by a dude at City Cafe. He said to be careful with my hands and to be careful of door locks. Silly me. I thought he said warlocks. One of Jackie's patented patient responses is, "I have lots of emotions right now, but no words." On the scale between her speaking my name with her teeth clenched, "Lonnie Jones, you are wearing me out," and the ever popular, "Let's say theoretically I had just one last nerve," and you're standing on it. The new statement, "I have emotions without words," is probably as severe on the exasperation amazement scale as it can get. And so here I am, way deep into the irritation matrix. And she just simply blessed the door locks and I installed them. Must have been all those episodes of Charmed that she used to watch. Now, here's a caveat to today's podcast. I have a lot of exaggerated fun at Jackie's expense. Her projects are our projects because they're at our house. But let me just take a minute and confess, all goofiness aside, how deeply satisfying it is to live in a house with someone who asks or even expects you to do things because she believes you're capable. You see, she trusts me. Yeah. She loves me. Yeah. She respects me in lots of ways. But deeper than that, there's this thing where she believes I am competent. When we first met, she grew up in a house where her dad built their house out of field rocks, dug a hole in the side of the bank and built their basement and then put their house on top of it. He dug the well. He put the pump in the well. He wired the house. Her dad could do anything. And I couldn't do those things. I wasn't mechanically adept at the time. We didn't grow up with a lot of tools in our house. But over the years, I've learned to do some things. And she takes great pride in the fact that I can do them. And I take great pride in the fact that she believes I can do them. See, she believes I'm competent. The only person on the planet who has more confidence in me than my parents is my wife. She asked me to do these things not just because she thinks I should or I will, but she has this inner confidence that she believes I can. And in all fairness to her and all joking aside, that gives me a lot of emotions. But my words to describe that are not very adequate. But back to the topic. Avoidant behavior is just what it sounds like. It's behaviors we employed to avoid necessary, unnecessary, unpleasant, or hard task. It doesn't have to involve delusional thinking, warlocks, or abusive or injurious behavior, rat poison, and chainsaws. It really simply requires convincing ourselves that we can avoid going, doing, thinking, changing, or changing our thinking about anything. It's not even a matter of should we avoid it, but can we avoid it? It's not a matter of should we or can we. It's a question. It doesn't matter whether it's working out, going to work, or working out what's not working. A lot of it can be solved by working on the part that we are reluctant to address, or the very thing we are actually avoiding. That's why accountability with somebody else is super important. And while self-insight is maybe just, if not more important, of being able to look at the things that we're avoiding. You see, there are reasons we use to explain why we avoid the difficult, the inconvenient, the stressful, or even just the mundane. And the reasons we choose to use are not as important as the truth behind why we are avoiding what we're avoiding in the first place. And we're not talking about honeydew projects anymore. We are talking about self-improvement and home improvement. And I don't mean the house you live in, but the person who lives in the house. By nature, the things that we avoid are probably in our weakness category. They are our weaknesses because either we don't recognize them, we justify them when we recognize them, or we just want to avoid dealing with them. One of my favorite lines in one of my favorite songs is the Lego Batman theme. And one of the little lines says, "Who never misses leg day." Well, that's the whole thing about leg day. Nobody likes to do it because it hurts. Those movements, those squats, those lunges, those things are hard to do. In the letter in the New Testament written to the Hebrews, and we don't know who wrote it, so we talk about the Hebrew writer. The Hebrew writer, in telling his audience how to avoid avoidance, he simply uses this phrase and says, "Strengthen the hands that hang down and the feeble knees, so that what is lame may not be dislocated." You see, don't skip spiritual leg day. Don't skip emotional leg day. You see, avoiding the strengthening or the competency component of anything doesn't make it better, and it doesn't make it go away. In the long run, it probably worsens the condition because it will have to be addressed at some point. It's going to be addressed at some time, and it's going to be addressed one way or the other. It falls back on the old adage, choose your hard. You see, avoiding something that I need to improve on, of addressing something that I need to address, but failing to address it, it's like running from a guy who's in better shape than you are. You can't outrun him, and eventually he's going to catch you. And when he does catch you, you're still going to have to fight him, but now you're already tired. So you see, avoiding isn't really avoiding. It's just merely delaying. And I heard this put in a very elegant way one time. You see, when it comes to the spiritual disciplines, when it comes to things to do with our families and our self-improvement and our emotional and our psychological and our spiritual well-being, it's not avoiding, it's just delaying. And delayed obedience is disobedience. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707. 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3W's and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the donate here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.